late con un sentido compartido que nace en la esfera espiritual y se extiende a cada rincón de la vida cotidiana.
But coming from a small island, the sense of community is pretty much ingrained in you from the time that you're a child. You grew up in the village, you grew up in the neighborhood, that sense of respect for elders, helping people out, always being there supportive, if something happens to your neighbor, whatever, is always a community support. And that is pretty much transcended. And I would say definitely is with the great social structures of Barbados as a population. I mean, we could tie it, of course, to the very high educational level, the good healthcare system, and all of these things that make a society really, functionable. Barbados has been very fortunate over the last couple centuries. God bless our dear souls and hearts. But at the same time, we have also focused on using that community spirit to use it for tourism. Build community-based tourism ideas and involve the community. I mean, we talk about, regathering, which is our celebration to tell people from locally and abroad, come back home, come back to Barbados where many of your roots are. Invest in Barbados, build out in Barbados, see where the country has come forward as a very small and rapidly developing country. I think currently right now Barbados is second ranked as the country and in the Caribbean most likely to become a first world country. So it tells you the level of development, the level of economic stability that the country currently has. So we take all of these things into consideration, and we take a very loving and caring population, and that sense of community pride, that sense of understanding our history, we as a people where we come from, is very resonant in Barbados, and that also builds up to why people say for time after time that the destination has actually won awards for customer satisfaction. You would hear many tourists and many visitors to the island saying, Barbados people are so friendly. What they love about Barbados, yes, the beaches are nice, but the people are even friendlier, and the people are so nice, and they help you around the corner, and you stop and you answer a question, and people help you. And that is just generally Barbadian civilization. We are very happy and very liberal people, and then all of this is contributory to, of course, how stable our society is, our way of life, how simple but yet how advanced it is, because you would have experienced the different types of road networks. We have transport board systems, we have safe, secure areas, and then we have modern conveniences. So what really happens to a lot of people is that they're very much shocked and surprised as to when they get to this little small island in the Caribbean called Barbados. I'm not saying that it's only shocks that you look out for, but there's this interpretation of, wow, there's so much more. Barbados is always on, there's always is siempre activo. There's always something to do in Barbados. Whether you're there for the culinary, whether you're there for a sporting activity, whether you're there to learn, whether you're there as a health program, whether you're there to get married as easy as 24 hours. Barbados just makes life simple altogether, and the ethos of that is the people. The people equals the community.
Desde las plazas deportivas hasta las escuelas y eventos culturales, esa cohesión social se fortalece a través de la cooperación, la solidaridad y la celebración de la diversidad, formando un tejido nacional sólido y esperanzador, tanto para la región como para el mundo.
Now, the Sweet Summer Festival that is crop over, that's the central festival. And lots of people come into Barbados to play mass. Originally, that festival was all about harkening back to our culture. And there were themes for the bands and for the donkey cart parades and the delivery of the last canes. And so it was structured more in traditional cultural, it had a more traditional cultural background to it. These days it's developed more into more of a, Sweet Summer Festival is what we call it today. So it's a big carnival, and that's the centerpiece. Like when you're setting the table, that is the centerpiece festival for the whole year. But like I mentioned, those other few things, there are some of those things as well across the year.
Estas fiestas son rituales de comunidades que honran el pasado, impulsan la creatividad local y convocan a residentes y visitantes a bailar, comer y compartir en un marco de hospitalidad y alegría contagiosa.
I think the aspect of the culture that most Barbadians feel represented by, I would say, is crop over and padooment. I think a big part of our culture is to just relax, have fun, and party, especially after working so hard. We come from a history of hard-working individuals in the fields, the sugar industry. So there's a big part of Barbadians that just like to party, just like to relax, and crop over expresses that for a lot of different people. Crop over is really, I would say, the biggest part of what it means to be Barbadian. Just forgetting all the stress, yes, working hard, but just coming out and letting yourself go and just relaxing and enjoying life here in the Caribbean.
But Crop Over is a you cannot miss festival. You can take your choice from local and community-based events to big parties, themed parties, all-day parties, paint parties, water parties, all-inclusive parties, breakfast parties, beach parties, normal parties, and then just the pulsating music, the rhythm, rum, of course. It's just an exciting time. So for really 3 months, the island comes alive and we party day in and day out for our Crop Over celebration, our carnival. And I mean, I've experienced carnival here in Panama. You guys need to visit Crop Over in Barbados, trust me.
Celebraciones que entrelazan historia, música, danza y gastronomía. Cada repique de tambor, cada movimiento de cadera, cada sabor, cada color, cada recuerdo que invita a todo el Caribe a conectar con el que una vez fue el hub internacional. Para muchos países, la cultura de Barbados es el resultado de la suma de todas las personas que pasaron en ese increíble lugar. El arte y la cultura de Barbados vibran en una paleta de colores que rememoran la ancestralidad. Tonos turquesas de sus costas, acres de sus paisajes y brillos vivos de una vida urbana. Esta gama aromática acompaña expresiones visuales, musicales y literarias que honran las raíces, la mezcla y la creatividad contemporánea, dando cuerpo a una identidad visual rica y reconocible, distinta y espectacular.
But of course you have to take in Oystins. Oystins is a small little fishing town that we have, and you can get fresh food and fresh fish at night. It's really an entire experience to be outdoors under the stars, right by the beachside, eating fresh fish, fresh mahi. Mahi, we call it dolphin back home, no, it's not flipper.
Hay 3 mercados de pescado como este, pero ese es el más grande de todo, el más popular, donde para divertirse, hablar, relajarse, y es una experiencia muy local, muy natural, muy barbadiense, así que sí, es como el corazón de Barbados, esta experiencia.
Tonight we came to Oystins, and Oystins is a popular place to come in Barbados on Friday nights. Oystins got its name from a landowner many years ago, I think in the 16th century. So it carried on that name, and it's a fishing village, it's a fishing community, and there's a lot of trade and a lot of entrepreneurial skills and elements that you would find in Oystins. So most of the persons that originated here, they at the market, they just lived across the road. You have the fishing village, so the boats dock here.
Okay.
And then the Barinda Cox Fishing Complex, which is way ahead of us. She is deceased now, but she was one of the very founding fisher people, fisher folk. And then I think her family also carries on that tradition. But in nightlife, this is a place where not only fish, you can have anything, but it's not only about coming to eat, it's about feeling the music, it's the camaraderie. After a long week, people just want some place where they could come and relax. There's the craft people, and it's a project basically that's run by our National Conservation Commission, and they saw the importance of preserving the preservation of this element of our culture. So you have the vendors here, and they have elements of Barbados. So if you want your souvenirs, you know, your Bajana, you can carry a piece of Bajan or Barbados with you. So they thought about a lot of things. You can eat, you have the bars, of course. Barbados is a place for rum, so you can have a nice spirited drink after a long week, those kind of things.
Nice.
And as we walk down, you would have seen the two elements. That's another very interesting thing. You have the more vibrant music, and then you have the older folk, are the persons who like to do the waltzing and the...
I saw the dancing.
Yes, yes.
All people dancing, and it's amazing.
And it's all in one place.
Yeah.
As I said, it's a traditional place. A lot has not changed really from Oystins. If you look at the older pictures, you would see that it was always, this is the element. The fish, the fun, the vibes. You may even walk around and see a couple of guys slamming dominoes, you know.